Umihara Kawase. You know, this has been a long-time favorite of mine, and this quirky little classic so far has only been enjoyed by importers and the Japanese. Never came out here in the States. But you know, with technology the way it is now, anybody can really enjoy this game. In fact, even you. Umihara Kawase. It was released in 1994 by NHK and TNN to a dull plop. In other words, it bombed. Why? Well, I don't know. It was probably because it was different than any other game at the time, and it was kind of plain looking. TNN eventually went out of business and was never heard from again. But this little game? This gained some notoriety and quickly became a cult classic, even in those days. And it's still growing popularity to this day. You play as 19-year-old Umihara Kawase, who has gone to another world where giant freaky fish are walking around. Because
in Soviet Russia, fish catch you.
But this girl, she's not going to be so easy to catch. She's armed with an elastic fishing line that either stuns or hooks onto fish. If you hook onto them, you can reel them in, put them in your pink backpack for points. To move to the next stage, you have to maneuver Umihara to the next door somewhere on the level. Sometimes there's a secret door, harder to reach, that will warp you further along in the game. Here's the controls. The X and B buttons make Umihara jump, while the A and Y buttons make her cast her fishing line. Holding down the A or Y buttons causes her to keep her grip. She'll let go if you stop pressing on it. Pushing down causes her to reel in either herself or an enemy fish, while pushing up will increase the length of the fishing line. Pushing in a direction while casting your fishing line will cause Umihara to cast in that direction. If you need to see further along in the screen, the left and right corner buttons will scroll the screen, even when it's in pause. This is another prime example of a game that doesn't hold your hand and steadily increases in difficulty. But you get 10 lives and about 4 to 5 minutes for each stage, meaning that you have plenty of chances to wade around in the stages trying to find passages or learn new techniques. And this game is full of tough places to reach. That's not what you think. That's her pink backpack. That's her pink. Now, this game's physics engine is pretty spanking cool for its time. I'm not saying it's flawless, but for a 16-bit SNES game, it's really good. At the beginning of many of the first stages, there is a video teaching you a technique that you will use on the upcoming level. There's lots of techniques to learn, and so when starting off, you really don't want to skip over them. The enemies are part of the bizarre aspect of this game. Touching them takes a life away, while some of the projectiles will knock Umihara backwards and stun her for a few seconds. But in this game, with monsters literally randomly spawning everywhere, a few seconds really is a few seconds too long. And beware the boss battles. Those are enough to get you ripping out your hair. You'll also see that the menu seems to be in English, but it's really not. But that's okay, you don't really need it to play the game. So, it's okay to just skip it. And the music? It's really not that bad. It's a bit repetitive, but for the most part, it's pretty enjoyable. I can listen to it the entire time while I'm playing and really not be concerned with it. On the downside, the crazy angles that you're expected to learn to get through are a real challenge and might be a detriment to some. It can make the game frustrating and sometimes seemingly nigh impossible. But to get the good ending to the game, you have to get to and beat Field 55 within 30 minutes. And that's going to be a tall order for many. Another down point is a lack of a save state for this game. So when you lose your 10 lives, it's game over and you start from the beginning all over again, from Field 00. That's kind of annoying, but it's a challenge. And I think that if you were able to save, then it wouldn't be so challenging, and you'd be able to go through it very quickly. So actually, it would make it less fun. Now, how do I rate this game? Platformers and puzzlers alike will want to play this game, and if you're a collector, you should be ashamed of yourself if this isn't in your collection. This is a fun game that teaches you techniques as you go along, but then you're left to your own wits. Very little hand-holding. While the background is repetitive, the fish are bright and colorful. The animation is also pretty good for the time, but because of the workhorse physics engine, it can lag in some busy areas. With only 2 buttons and the D-pad really being used, this game is very easy to play. The controls are responsive and fast. Trying to get the fastest score will be a challenge I see some people setting for themselves. There's 57 levels to get through, so this won't be a one-sitting game. 2 endings will make this a real head-scratcher. For the Super Famicom version, there is virtually no Japanese at all, except for the menu, so it's playable by anyone. The Super Famicom cart will not be cheap, but trust me, this will only add to the value of your video game collection. This is one of my top 5 favorite games of all time, of any system. It's fun and challenging, and I think it's playable by really virtually anybody. I've shown this game to many friends, and they've all become converts to the Umihara Kawase fan club. So thanks for watching, and be sure to leave written or video comments about what you thought of this episode, or of other games you might like to see me review.